Each vintage brings new challenges, a new set of grapes and a blank canvas of which to work on and make wine. We're blessed to have a lot of really world-class viticultural regions, from the Barossa, McLaren Vale, cool climate of Adelaide Hills. I think this region has built a really strong link with motorsport and particularly vintage cars.
Like a vintage wine, a vintage or classic car develops its own characteristics. It matures with style. Welcome to South Australia, famous for fine wines and famous fine motorcars. This is the Adelaide Motorsport Festival.
I remember as a child, back in the mid-80s, not having the money to actually pay to come in to see the Grand Prix cars. I used to just sit outside and listen to them. I mean, the sound's incredible. That's really what it's all about, and that's what we've been hearing here, is that everyone remembers that sound from the 80s and 90s. It's something that never leaves you, really. The Adelaide Motorsport Festival is a celebration of all things motorsport. However, it's got a strong theme that runs through it, that it has linkages back to the Adelaide era of Formula One. That being either the Formula Ones themselves and the drivers, or the support categories that come along with it. That's why you'll see heritage touring cars, 5-litre touring cars. These are all things that raced on the track here in the 80s and 90s.
Formula One drivers are lured back to the region for perhaps some of the wine, but more importantly, their memories and their passion for racing.
I am very happy to be here again because I love this track, and for me to drive in a road track in downtown is very exciting.
The whole city's got so behind the race here, you know, and you could really feel the passion and the energy, and they really love the event here, you know, and they're very knowledgeable about racing. So it makes it fun for us drivers as well, you know, when you interact with the fans and the people and stuff, you know. So it was just a good feeling every time we came back here.
You certainly don't have to be a Formula One driver to share in that passion. South Australia has the highest ownership of classic cars in the Southern Hemisphere per capita.
For me, it's about the roads, the hills. You know, as a bike rider, I mean, I know every bump on every road, and just having the assortment of rides and roads to go on with very little traffic, and in 15 minutes later you're back in the CBD. It's awesome. It's a hell of a lot easier going through the Adelaide Hills on this than it is on two wheels, I can tell you.
The festival is made up of 3 separate events held simultaneously. The Shannon's Pima Tour, the Shannon's Classic Adelaide Rally, and the Victoria Park Sprint, situated in the heart of the Adelaide CBD, the former home of the Australian Formula One Grand Prix. The festival commences with the Prima Tour through the Adelaide Hills, then to the McLaren Vale Vineyards.
The first evening was like a pack of schoolboys on Christmas Day. We've got STEFAN JOHANSSON here, the ex-Ferrari Formula One driver, here driving today even in a 488 Spider, and over the weekend we'll be driving his Formula One car that he drove here actually in the Adelaide Grand Prix. So it's a great weekend for all Ferraristi, whether they're driving or they're just fans of the brand.
So this is the 488 Ferrari, the latest model. It's a phenomenal bit of kit. Super powerful and just a really, really nice car to drive.
It's been named the 488 GTB because every one of its 8 cylinders outputs 488 cc's.
670 horsepower, the latest technology from Ferrari. 0 to 200 in just 8.3 seconds. So the perfect automobile and weapon, I suppose, for the Adelaide Hills.
It's the myth and the whole stigma, you know, with Enzo Ferrari and just the history they have, you know, and they've always built the most beautiful cars, you know, that you can find, basically, you know, and it's just got such a great history and sort of allure and the sexiness of the name, you know. It's Italian, it's got the passion, it's got all the right elements, I think, yeah.
As a prelude to the festival, a street party is held downtown, a relocation of the museum through city streets. The roads of Adelaide again, ringing with the sound of Formula Ones. For many, the Adelaide Grand Prix was the best race on the F1 calendar and held the record for the biggest crowd at an F1 race.
These people were rock stars. They still are now, and they certainly were back in the day when I used to come to the Grand Prix. Oh, the people lining up on the roads when the cars were driving along that was a spectacle in itself. Driving Formula One cars through what was peak hour in the city is no mean feat, and I think that because it was such, I suppose, an exceptional thing, and again something that's not seen very often. There was a great turnout and a brilliant reception when the cars actually got to Goodger Street themselves, an amazing party atmosphere. The 1985 Ferrari 15685.
Adelaide, the capital of South Australia, is on the doorstep to some amazing countryside. The wine regions of the Barossa, Clare Valley and McLaren Vale are really just the beginning. Amazing beaches on the limestone coast. To the tranquil Murray River, Adelaide has been named the 5th most livable city in the world. A key component of the Adelaide Motorsport Festival is the Shannon's Classic Adelaide Rally, which maintains the theme of the event and is available for cars pre-1986. Cars compete on closed roads across 157 kilometres of timed stages, with the final stage and celebration champagne shower held at the festival site at Victoria Park. Contemporary classic cars escort the rally field in the Mark Tour section. Ferrari, BMW, McLaren and Audi among the group.
So the R8 is the first time we launched that car. It's a new release 6 months ago, and was launched straight away as a V10. And we have also, end of the year, the Spider version coming out of that one as well.
The high revving threshold of the V10 engine and its distinct sound is giving the crowds goosebumps. Hometown V8 supercar driver Nick Percat is competing in the Classic Rally in the Mark Tour section too.
It's a 570 GT car. Basically just one of their cool McLarens. It's got crazy amount of horsepower, big brakes, handles unbelievably well. Pretty exciting to be involved with them, and I'm extremely lucky to be able to drive one of their cars around the Adelaide Hills. For me, anything involving motorsport and Adelaide, I want to be involved in. So to be involved in this festival over this week has been unreal. It kind of reminds everyone that this is nearly the home of motorsport for Australia. That there's so much passion here, there's so many cool cars, and we've got the best roads to drive them on.
3 sections of closed road host the morning stages of the rally. Multiple opportunities for teams through Corkscrew Gully, Anstey Hill and Chain of Ponds. The longest stage comes at Bull Creek at 11.5 kilometres, with a total of 84 kilometres across the first day of the rally. Unexpectedly, it's a newcomer to the tarmac rallying that puts the more favoured entries on notice.
So It's a 1985 RX-7. It's one of the first ones they produced. It's 13B turbo, so it's a rotary engine. And yeah, it's just got some trick bits built in Australia that we've just managed to assemble a good enough package to do it right. Not without drama though. We had a power steering line burst on the transport to Ansie's Hill, so we had to do the last 3 stages of this morning's loop with no power steering. But in saying that, we're still in a pretty good spot. Had to work pretty hard to get up through the hairpins on corkscrew, but we're humming along pretty well.
So this is Michael's first tarmac rally he's actually driven in. He's done quite a lot of gravel and he's had some good results in co-driving, but yeah, this is his first outing driving, so yeah, going well. So,
and there's probably 10 blokes that are good enough to win it. Can't go past HAYSMAN, can you?
HAYSMAN, in his trusted triumph, doesn't sweat it, but instead plans an attack on the latter stages of day one.
Mount Bold, short little stage, about 7 Ks, very technical, a lot of commitment. It's a stage that can win a lot of time and it'll be a cracker. Paris Creek, just a nice drive in the country at warp speed, which is what we love. That's what we're here for.
But another unpredicted entrant makes HAYSMAN sit up and take notice too, giving new meaning to the term underdog in a 1983 Corolla.
It started out as my daily driver. I've had it for about 5 years now, and then started doing local hill climbs, and I thought, oh, I'll put a roll cage in it and try and get into some serious motorsport. You just got to keep it moving, get it in the rhythm, and it goes all right. Cops are hammering and it still keeps going. I mean, it's still standard engine in there, so it's pretty reliable. I'm pretty happy with that.
My passion started when I was a children, because my uncle was a driver, was a Formula 2 drivers. I have started with go-kart, and after Formula 3, I won European Championship in Formula 3 when I was 22 years old. I make a career in Formula 1, and I won Le Mans in '99.
Pierluigi Martini raced in Adelaide on several occasions and is once again able to get behind the wheel of his Minardi M189.
And with this car, I am been first on the grid in US in '89, and I am been third in Australia, in Adelaide in '89, and I was third on the grid, and I was 6th at the end of the race. For me, it's a fantastic car because it's my car.
Adelaide is known as the festival state. The Adelaide Motorsport Festival is just one of many sports and arts events embraced and promoted by the region. Australia's biggest cycling event is hosted out of the city too, along with the world-renowned Adelaide Fringe headlining a string of arts events.
Well, it's the new Aston Martin DB11. It's the only one in the country, and it's literally released in Australia this weekend.
5.2-litre 48-valve twin-turbo V12 engine. It's an exhilarating ride for South Australia's own motoring legend and Formula 1 driver, Vern Chopin.
Certainly when you get back behind the wheel, you feel pretty competitive again. You sort of want to pass the guy in front of you.
Really wish I could have raced back in this era. You know, the 80s were, you know, the prime of F1, so would have been a dream.
When you drive and you drive fast, you you take a big emotion, big adrenaline. And it's difficult to find in another thing.
Emotion is something that is related to speed. It doesn't matter if you have 200 horsepower or 500 horsepower. It's just putting down the throttle, the maximum, and try to be as fast as is possible through the corners.
It's the intensity of it, I guess, you know, and the focus you have and the state of mind you're in when you race that makes it so special. You know, it's a really... Everything gets elevated to a whole different level, you know, as far as your senses, your smell, your hearing, your vision, everything is like on maximum alert, you know, and it's just, you're so like one, and it's a kind of a solitary, beautiful, kind of almost like a meditation of some kind, you know, but it's, everything just flows and works perfect, you know, so it's when you get into that state of mind, it's amazing.
This is what we love to do inside the car, and to be able then to enjoy it and to see and to understand that at the end of the stage or when we are driving, we reach the limit. That's the most important thing.
Of course, I love it. I still love it as much today as I did. I mean, I'm living my boyhood dream, yeah, and that's still, you know, till the day I die probably, you know. So it's you couldn't ask for more than that.
I was driving the 86 Benetton, driven by HERBERT back in the day, so most powerful F1 car ever, so pretty stoked with that.
With the turbo engine, they could reach 1,100 horsepower.
Gave it a couple of good squirts, and yeah, it was unreal.
These beautiful cars here, I'm very lucky to own one. I bought this one I'm sitting on tyre off in 1996, so I've had a long time. And the other car I bought in 2004. Two cars were driven predominantly by Michele Alboreto, number 27, and STEFAN JOHANSSON in the 85 season. In fact, I was here at the 85 Grand Prix and I met Alboreto and Johansson at the time. To have STEFAN JOHANSSON actually driving and reuniting with a car that he hasn't driven really since 1985. And, you know, we've been talking about it and he's just loving it. And every time, every session he gets out, he gets much more, you know, excited about it because it's all coming back to him. All the memories, you know, it's amazing, all these little memories that are prompted by little things that are happening with the car and how it's going. And so it's been quite a special thing for me. You know, here's an amateur talking to an ex-professional about cars that he drove in the 1985 season. It was a time when really it was the driver and the car. It was a unison between the two. And I certainly know from the professionals that have driven these cars and have driven the modern cars, they all say they much prefer to drive these cars. Even though they're slower, by definition, because the technology has improved and horsepower and traction and everything else. But these cars are much more the experience. You feel much more connected to the track, what's going on with the car. It's all about you, whether you get it right or not, the changes, the gear changes, the brakes, you know, the tone heel. It's, you know, it is a special era. So I'm very lucky to have the cars and I'm going to keep driving them and I drive them hard.
Out in the Adelaide Hills, some 40 kilometres from the CBD and the festival precinct, the first day of the Shannon's Classic Adelaide Rally draws to a close, with stages through Bull Creek and Paris Creek ahead. Veteran Cameron Waring is not immune to the challenges.
We've had a couple of 100-mile-an-hour moments. We're still trying to come to terms with some new suspension and tyres, and some of it's been pretty slippery for us. The quality field, there's only seconds between all of the top 10, so, and the top 5 is tighter again. It's a bit bruising. I've won this event a few times before, and I feel like I've been taken out the back and beaten up. I think we're coming about 6th or 7th now, so we're going to have to sharpen up for tomorrow.
Newbies in the RX-7, Busby holds his nerve, feeling pretty happy with his performance.
We had that power steering issue this morning when we burst the power steering line on transport, but the boys got that fixed quick, smart, and we trundled along pretty well. Bull Creek and Paris Creek were absolute blinders, so we smashed the base time there, which was good, although a lot of people did. Took it pretty conservative on green hills, but other than that, we had a stellar run.
Craig HAYSMAN and his Triumph are a proven combination. He's determined to make up time on these stages too, but it's not to be. The classic Adelaide Rally is run Targa style, meaning that cars have a time to achieve on each stage. If quicker than the base time, competitors clean the stage and accrue 0 time penalties. If one competitor cleans the base time by 10 seconds and the car in front cleans it by 1 second, they have gained no ground and the two remain equal. This is where HAYSMAN and Matt Selly in his Hartage H35-24 find themselves. The pair more than 30 seconds under the base times. Busby too in his RX-7 and Matthews are under the base time, so positions remain unchanged.
I believe currently we're leading by 10 seconds over HAYSMAN. Pretty damn good for a rookie.
Yeah, we had a crack the Savo. The race this afternoon, fantastic. Hopefully the weather stays like this tomorrow. Slightly overcast, not too warm, not too cold. Should be a magnificent day, and hopefully we can pull back 10 seconds and pull the win off. That'd be cool.
There's still a little bit left to go. Can't back off here.
I'm hoping we can finish in the top 5, because that's where I think we belong with this car and so on. But I do love the podium.
After the first 11 stages, Cameron Waring is in 5th place. Nick Struck-Eisen 4th. 11 seconds ahead in 3rd is the Triumph of Craig HAYSMAN, with Oscar Matthews in his Corolla coming 2nd. And Michael Busby in his first tarmac rally leads by 7 seconds. Under the handicap timing, Oscar Matthews sits in front of Struck-Eisen, with Busby 3rd. The older cars are handicapped in their own section, the early classic competition. The Datsun 240Z of Lomond and Bainbridge has just a 1 second lead over Dean and Nick Struck-Eisen's son Jake in their Ford Escort. 11 cars running as part of the Classic Rally compete in the TSD, time, speed and distance competition. The aim to set an average speed rather than the fastest time. Penalties are attracted for each kilometre per hour you are over or under a predetermined speed limit, but also the target average speed and time to complete that stage. After legs 1, 11 stages, the 2016 Jaguar F-Type of Christopher Waldock and Christine Kirby was leading, with just 138 penalties over a 2001 Nissan 200 SXR, driven by Colin Zeitfeld and Timothy Dyer on 166 penalties.
And then I retired from being a professional driver, let's say like that. I've then started my career as a commentator for the Italian television, and I'm commentating since 19 years now, the Formula 1 for Rai TV.
Salve a tutti, mi chiamo Ivan Cappelli e la mia storia qua a Monza inizia nel 1981, quando...
It was the best choice for me, because I'm always in connection with motorsports, with the speed, with the Formula 1 people. I'm going to drive my Leighton House car, the car that I used in 1989 with the 10-cylinder Judd engine, and it's a car that gave me a lot of emotion, obviously, and I think that to drive again this car is going to be quite, let's say, demanding, first of all, because I need to see if I can fit inside the car, because when I was driving Leighton House I was just 67 kilos for my weight. Now it's obviously not just 25 years that I'm not driving that car, but it's also 25 kilos more. No, I'm joking. Not 25, but a few kilos more, yes. I mean, when I sat inside the cockpit this morning, I realized how small was the cockpit even in 1989. So it was already a great result to be able to squeeze in and to be able to fit in the cockpit. But then, lap by lap, I understood again how to drive it, how to manage it, and basically immediately everything came back, and I realized how I was driving the car in the past, and it was, you know, after 10 laps everything was perfect.
On this shortened track to that of the F1 Grand Prix of 20 years ago, Capelli sets the lap record of 43.28 seconds.
Oh, the atmosphere is just fantastic because I can see fans and supporters that are coming here to the paddock, that they are watching this car, touching the drivers because we are real, and being so close to the car, and I think that the atmosphere is just unbelievable. And I can see that as soon as there is the sound of the Formula One car and a few cars that are running, the whole public is actually going to watch the cars in the circuit, and this is just, for us, obviously, it's a good atmosphere.
The field will complete 233 kilometres on day 2 of the Shannon's Classic Rally, 66 kilometres of rally action over 9 stages. The Gorge is a favourite at 14.2 kilometres. The field then gets another crack at it in reverse. The last 2 sprint stages are held in the centre of the city at Vic Park under lights. Rookie Michael Busby holds a 10-second lead going into day 2, but that could be wiped away in the blink of an eye. The day starts with the 14-kilometre Gorge stage. This is perfect for Craig HAYSMAN to gain back the time. After the first run-through, the field regroups and heads through the stage in reverse. Busby takes it to another level. He crosses the time control point 6 seconds faster than HAYSMAN on the first run, and 13 seconds faster again on the second run. Busby now has a 29-second lead. Oscar Matthews does his best to hang on, but HAYSMAN is quicker, stealing second place by just 2 seconds. Matthews still holds the lead in the handicap section of Adelaide Classic. He has a considerable lead of 50 seconds. Streckheisen and Waring are in 4th and 5th respectively. On to the shorter stages of 16 and 17, and HAYSMAN claws back 4 seconds from Busby, but is running out of road to make up the time. The early Classic handicap section is very tight. After the first run through the Gorge, the 71 Datsun of Lomond holds a 3-second gap to the 1970 Ford Escort of Dean, but the reverse run sees Lomond take control, stretching his handicapped lead by a further 16 seconds to 19. The 2 other competitions run as part of the Classic Adelaide Rally are the trophy competitions. Shannon's Thoroughbred Trophy for cars built prior to 1985 and the Shannon's GT Sports Trophy for cars built post-1985. It's a spirited touring selection that is timed but with a top speed of 130 kilometres per hour. The 1983 Porsche of 911 of Prize Billier and Sillans leading the thoroughbred section, and Farkas 2001 BMW M3 dominating the GT section.
Yeah, it's a pretty special car back here. We've got a Ferrari F40 GTE, so it's one of 7 in the world, and this one in particular is the only one that's never raced, from what we know.
When I was Formula 1 driver, I had the opportunity to test in Fiorano, the Ferrari F40, and I think that car has the characteristic of a sports car. I mean, with a big engine, turbo engine, with the manual gearbox. You have to, I mean, I had to use all my skill to drive that car. It was really demanding.
It was like a cloud to be on, the nicest thing I've ever driven. If I could pick anything to drive on a racetrack, this would be it.
But I'm a motor mechanic by trade. Before I became a chef, I'm a bit of a petrol head, so this is my dream. It's both of my trades, and what more can I want? Adelaide Motorsport Festival is a festival for people that truly appreciate marques, that appreciate quality, beautifully made cars. The food has to match the client and the event, and this festival is definitely top-notch, and Aston Martin, well, that's a realm of its own. So they've eaten really well, biodynamic strip-raised beef, 120-day pasture-raised chickens, incredible raw milk cheeses, green chickpeas that I got picked by little kids out in York Peninsula, just tons of awesome stuff. The majority of the paddock is just this amazing stuff, and to have the Formula Ones back on one of the best Formula One circuits that ever was, like, Adelaide should have never lost that.
.680 rare and classic cars take part in the Adelaide Motorsport Festival, either in the Shannon's Classic Rally, the sprint around Vic Park, or just static displays.
One of Peter Brock's last cars he drove at Bathurst in 2004, and he partnered up with Plato, and unfortunately he was an early end to their weekend. That weekend it got cleaned up, Clellan ran into the back of him, so it was a bit of a short-lived race for him unfortunately, but Brock got to practice the car and do some qualifying and stuff in it, so yeah, this is pretty much the last supercar he drove. I just love the feeling of it, and this sort of event is really good. The historic racing that we've been involved with for the last, I don't know, 10 years or so is great for families, and that people can get in and close and around the cars and get to see things that they never got to see in the day.
did somebody's yard for him when I was about 13. And the old Band and Bees are in his back shed, and he said, "Do you want that?" It was all rusty, and I said, "Yeah, I'll take it." I took it home. My dad says to me, he goes, "Oh, where'd you get that motorbike from?" And I said, "Oh, this old fella, I did all his backyard for him, and he gave it to me." So that's what sort of started it. Then I made a big mistake and got married. Bikes went and kids came, and now I'm getting a bit older and get all my bikes back. The only way to go. That's my passion. It's got a few bugs in that end I've got to sort out a bit, and I hope I've sorted them out from yesterday. And I hope I have a good ride today.
They rev to about 9,000 revs. His bike would probably put out somewhere around probably 54 horsepower. And I guess sort of top speed would be sort of something approaching a couple hundred kilometres an hour. It'd be a bit like the golfer. You know how they have one good shot in 18 holes and they say, got to come back for more? It's a bit like that. It gets in your blood. And
it's hot. The bikes are hot, the women are hot, and the weather's pretty warm.
I'm driving the Alfa Romeo 4C, that is basically a sports car, obviously, with very good handling, because it's a very light car, very short wheelbase. Engine is not really powerful in comparison to other GT cars that are here in the event, but especially in the stages we could use the reaction of the chassis to be able then to compete to the other most powerful car, yes.
A number of the manufacturers have got some quite sort of upmarket spaces that they're entertaining their guests in, and that's it's quite glamorous and interesting. It's great to see what all of those manufacturers are doing. There's many millions of dollars worth of exceptionally rare cars here this weekend, and these are cars that people struggle to see anywhere else in the world, in Europe, let alone here in Adelaide.
A real diverse array of vehicles. Out the front we have a Lincoln Zephyr hot rod, which is a custom-built glass body running an LS engine.
We're 100 years young. Clearly we've had a real motorsport heritage with the brand. You see some of the cars that we've got here at the display today, including the 2002, things like the E30 M3, some fantastic cars that have performed really well internationally and also here in the Australian scene. You look at a model like this, the i8, a three-cylinder electric engine, 0 to 100 in about 4 seconds using less than 3 litres per 100 kilometres. So this really is the future of motorsport, I think, and I think over the next 100 years you're going to see more and more of these sorts of vehicles coming into the market. The part of getting out and experiencing the car on the open road, on the track, is, I think, really important for our clients. So it's a great opportunity to do that. I think also a brand that's 100 years young really has some fantastic old models that you get to look at, and certainly we've got some really passionate clients and guests that have owned some fantastic cars over the year that get the opportunity to display the cars in this sort of surround. So really good way to engage with a broader audience for the brand.
The classic cars in the rally make their run for home with the Mount Lofty stage, the last real point to make up time. BUSBY is fastest on Mount Lofty.
I've been waiting 10 years to drive that road closed. She's now my fiancée, but her parent, well, she used to live at the top of the hill and I lived at the bottom, so that's a special road to me, put it that way. So I know every nook and cranny of that road.
On Mount Lofty, we had a few troubles with the gearbox, ended up with almost no gears, got it into third, and then got to the top, took it out of third, which was a bit of a silly move, but then had fourth and then managed to get it back in third for the last bit.
Matthew's Corolla gearbox sees it limp over the line 28 seconds slower, effectively handing second place to HAYSMAN in the outright section, but luckily enough of a lead in the bank in the handicap section. BUSBY earns a 38-second lead over HAYSMAN. Barring mechanical problems on the last stages at Vic Park, this should be enough to win the rally from here. As the sun sets on the Adelaide Motorsport Festival for another year, the Classic Rally await the green light for their final stages. Prize Billier taking out the Thoroughbred Sports Trophy, Farkas finishing first in the GT Sports Trophy, and Christopher Waldock claiming the TSD title. Gravel rally expert but tarmac rookie Busby finishes his first tarmac rally in top spot. The veteran HAYSMAN comes in second, and the unlikely third place goes to Matthews. While Oscar Matthews finishes with late Classic handicap honours, Lomond Statson is also safe on top of the early Classic leaderboard.
Oh, that's fantastic. Look, we're very happy to be here. Top step of the podium, the Sham Tame Chase week. We're very happy. But we just had a really smooth event. Have no issues. Annie's done a great job on the notes, as always, and just makes for a great weekend.
Be one of the best days of my life, I reckon.
Yeah, great couple of days rallying, great competition, great result.
Just kept chipping away, I guess. Weren't taking massive amounts of time, but just drove hard and fast and consistent and got it done.
Actually, first rally we've made it through complete, so that's a big bonus for us. Yeah.
To achieve what he's achieved in that car is quite a feat. You know, it's not the fastest car here by a long shot. He's driving it at 110%, driving the ring off of the thing. Yeah, it's a pleasure to sit next to him, and it's an experience and a barrel of laughs.
So with the spraying of champagne over the winners of the Classic Rally, the checkered flag is waved for the second annual Adelaide Motorsport Festival. An event not about winning, but rather a celebration of motorsport hosted by the City of Festivals.